Very good morning, students. Welcome to prestigious IIT and NEET Foundation or Focus C program by Krishnaveni Talent Schools and the Mastermind Schools. So welcome you all for the today's session after the FA1 break. So hope you all wrote the FA1 exam very nicely. And now we are back with our program. So once again, I welcome all the class 7th students for today's session. As you can see on the screen, and you are well aware. So my subject is physics. You can see there. Right. And we are in class 7th. Our ongoing chapter, the chapter number 1, measurements. And today we are entering into the session number 4. So far we completed 3 sessions in understanding the basic concept of measurements, right? How it is applicable in our day-to-day life. So what happened if there is no measurements, and what is the standard measurements we are using, and how to measure the few physical quantities we discussed in the earlier session. So it may take one more session, that is today and tomorrow. Tomorrow again we have class. Today we discuss about some concept, and tomorrow we are going to have worksheets so that you can appear for the first monthly exam. So everybody knows that every month, the last Monday, we'll conduct the IIT Foundation exam. Like that, today we schedule the first examination on 29th July. If it is holiday due to local festivals, we can conduct exam on 30th. Right. So we'll send the question paper from here based on the syllabus covered and given in the annual plan. Right. So in case of physics 7th class, we'll cover complete measurements chapter, and the questions will appear from the measurements in the form of MCQs, right? So we'll get all MCQs only. You have to write in the answers in OMR sheet, and a student ID is allotted for your respective branches, especially maybe, right? Based on that, the corrections also will be done by the publishers, that winner, right? And we'll get the complete mark sheet within 1 or 2 days to your branch. Okay, so for that, you need to prepare well. All the students of right now, we have ECAL students. Prepare well for exam, go through the material, and go through your notebook, what you are writing, so that you can appear for exam with 100% confidence. Right? Anyway, you get the time to read if it is holiday on 29th. Prepare very well and write perfect examination so that you can get the 100% score. Okay, so we move forward. Before knowing about what we are learning today or what we are going to learn today, let us recall what we already covered in the chapter. Right? You can see here what we covered in entire chapter in last 3 sessions. Starting from introduction part, we learn what is about measurement exactly, and what is the importance of this measurement in our day-to-day life from morning to evening. So because we cannot do any work without any measurement, everything should be measured only, right? Everything will measure. There is nothing is there which cannot take without measurements. It's starting from money to the any items. Correct or not? So that is very important part, very important applications in our day-to-day life. Next, we discuss about what is the quantities which can be measured. They are called physical properties. The physical properties which can be measured which can be measured are called physical quantities. Then we have seen the classification, how these physical quantities are classified into fundamental and derived physical quantities, right? There are 7 fundamental physical quantities are there, plus 2 supplementary, total 9. Then remaining all comes under derived quantities. So fundamental physical quantities are independent quantities, derived physical quantities are dependent quantities. That's all. That is the difference. We have seen so many physical quantities, but these physical quantities are measured by standard measurement. There is a standard measurement for every physical quantity, and which is called unit. Right? Then we have seen what are the rules to write the units. When you are writing the units, what are the rules we have to follow? Right? Then lastly, we discussed about the measurement of length and mass in the last 2 sessions. That is how to measure the length by using the various devices, various instruments like scale, tape, vernier calipers, screw gauge. So many devices you have seen to measure the length of an object, which is from starting to ending. Starting of the object to ending is called length. That is initial point to final position is called as length of the object. So it may be any object. It may be any object. You can measure the length if you have a measuring device like scale, tape, or some other devices. It may be of larger length, or it may be of very small length. We can measure by using various devices. That we have seen how to measure the length. So in last class, we already discussed about how to measure the mass. So we discussed about what is mass exactly. After knowing about the mass, once we recall that, what we discussed in the earlier class. So this is about the measurement introduction and followed by the physical quantities, system of units, right? And what are the basic physical quantities? That is fundamental physical quantities. There are 7 are there, plus 2 supplementary quantities are there. Then we have seen so many examples of derived quantities. Much more are there apart from this. Okay. Then we enter to the how to measure. So units and rules we have seen already. Okay, we have seen about the multiples and submultiples of the physics and their conversions. Few conversions we have seen, which is from your material. Then in last class we discussed about the mass. So mass is nothing but quantity of matter contained in a body. Matter, how much matter is there in body? It may be either in the form of solid, liquid, or gas, no matter. That matter is called mass, which is always constant from place to place, or any place you can go, take the mass remains constant. It is measured in either kg or gram or some other higher units also there. And this is measured by various devices, but commonly known as common balance. You can see here is a beam balance. It is generally used in the laboratories to measure the small lengths, like even gold also you can measure. That is one kind of balance. Apart from this, there are so many other balances are there to measure the mass. We discussed already common balance, physical balance, beam balance, table balance, digital balance, steel yard balance, like that various based on the how much quantity you measure, very small to very large, milligrams to thousands of grams, thousands of kgs you can measure by using the various balances. For this, we need one. See, standard weights are there here. So the standard weights are provided by the government. It is government approved weights. You can see here. You might have seen these weights starting from 100 grams or 50 grams or 10 grams or 0.5 grams or milligrams also can available. Small also available in the gold shops because they are costly. They'll measure the micro level also. So that kind of by using the standard measurement of the weights, we can measure the weight of unknown quantities, right? Unknown quantities. Anything you can measure, starting from vegetables or groceries, or you can go for the gold, diamond. All the weights can be measured by using the various types of balances, right? Which are measuring either milligrams or grams or kilograms or more than that, bigger one, quintal, ton. So many I told, so many conversions we have seen where we use common words in our day-to-day life. Means mass plays very important role in our day-to-day life as a measurement. Correct or not? So without measurement, you cannot even suppose when you are cooking the food, dear mother, She will measure something and because you have 4 members are there or 3 members are there. As per that, they'll measure and they'll start cooking the food. Everywhere measurements comes into play. Suppose you are preparing a coffee or tea, also will measure for number of persons. As per that only you can take the milk, water and powders and everything, sugar. Correct or not? So this is a vital part in our day-to-day life about the measurement, that too in mass. Okay. So what we completed now? Till now we completed how to measure the mass, length and mass. So what is the third physical quantity? Third physical quantity is time. So time already you learned in lower classes, but once I recall how to measure the time also before going for the next one. Okay. So when you come to the part of time, when you just a minute, what is the reason? Check from your side. From my side, I think okay. Just a minute. Sound from my side, there is no issue. Let me increase my sound. Right. So once you check from your mics, na? Okay. So now okay, I think. So whenever before going for the next major part, so let me have some idea about the even time also, which is the basic, that is one of the fundamental physical quantity. So after knowing about length, how to measure the length, how to measure the mass, right? How to measure the length, how to measure the mass. Then next third one is time. You know, time we measure by various types of watches starting from ancient days. So first we'll start with the sundial. So by seeing the sun, shadow of the sun, they used to estimate the time, olden days. Then comes sand clocks. Even nowadays also you can see sand clocks. By seeing the falling of sand from one bulb to another bulb, you can measure the time. Very important. Then comes the wristwatch. So the first watch came, wristwatch, right? Wristwatches. Before that, there is even water clock also there. Water clock. So wristwatch came. Then comes wristwatch is changed into quartz watches. Quartz is one kind of chemical, silicon dioxide. So with that, there is a little accuracy increased with quartz watch. Then comes electronic watches. Right. Then comes digital clocks. So these are the commonly to measure the time, because time, you know, everybody, among all the physical quantities, time is very precious. So which we cannot get back. We cannot buy. So that is the reason we need more accuracy. Compared to sundial, we have the digital clock is more accurate. So to increase the accuracy, they are developing the various types of watches. Suppose if you want to go for ISRO or NASA, when they are launching the satellites, see, even microsecond also important for them. There should not be some error also. For that, they devised a watch called atomic clock. Very important. So atomic clock is the watch with more accuracy. More accurate watch is atomic clock, which are used in the launching the satellites and all missiles. When you are launching, we need the even microseconds of time also should be accurate. So what we'll use? Atomic clock. The most accurate clock compared to either sundial to all these generation watches, which generally used in the launching of satellites and missiles and all. Right? So what is the most accurate watch? Accurate clock is atomic clock, which having a very less error. So based on the error only, we are identify which watch is the, when compared to sundial, sand clock is little better. Water clock is still better. Wristwatch is much better. Quartz, electronic, digital, they are increasing their accuracy, means getting an exact time. But still, every watch is having its own error. But we can minimize the error by watch to watch development, right? But as we should not have any errors during the launching of satellites and attacking with the mirrors, we'll use the most accurate watch as atomic clock. Clear? This is about the time. So we have completed all the three fundamental quantities, how to measure them, and what are the various devices used, right? So the last part is there for your class. After this, we'll go for the worksheets in the next class. So remember, teachers, we already sent the complete key and solutions for the entire material in your groups. You can download that materials and keep it with you for the reference and for helping the students if they have any problems. Maximum will try to cover all the worksheet in classes. If not, you can help them through that key. Wherever required key, we are providing simple key. Wherever required solutions, we are providing the solutions for the problems or any other questions, right? In all 4 subjects. So please make sure that every teacher is download and keep the key with them, respective subject teachers. Those are teaching maths, physics, chemistry, biology in your regular subjects, so that when students comes to you and ask, you can clarify the doubts by going through a detailed key given to you. Okay, now we'll enter to the one more important physical quantity, which is the derived quantity, which is obtained from fundamental quantities, that is density. How to measure the density, right? How to measure density? It's clearly given here. So density, we know density is nothing but mass by volume. See here. So means it depends mainly on 2 factors. One is mass, which is a fundamental quantity. Second one is volume, which is a derived quantity. That is length into breadth into height. Volume is nothing but. It depends on 2 quantities. So mass, what is mass? Number of particles present. That is, see here. Mass of the particle, large mass, each particle, more is the density. Means, suppose if you take any object, so suppose I have taken one duster, in that there are so many particles will be there, right? So it depends on number of particles or quantity of matter contained, mass depends. Greater the mass, greater the density, right? So that mainly depends on the mass of each particle. Then the space between the particles. If space between the particle is more, volume increases, right? Suppose when compared to the solid, so solid occupies less space when compared to liquid or gas, because the space between the molecules of solid is less when compared to the liquids and gases. So what happens when space increases? As space increases, volume also increases. So mainly density depends on mass of each particle and space between the particles. If mass of the particle increases, density increases. If space between the particle increases, density decreases, because reciprocal, that is inversely proportional. So these are the 2 important factors which affects the density. Means we cannot measure density directly. Of course, there are some devices to measure the density, but we can measure the density by measuring mass as well as volume of a body separately, whether it is a solid or a liquid or gas. For all, you can measure the densities, right? Density can be measured by measuring the mass, right? Even though there is a special device is there, like hydrometer, we can use. Okay, hydrometer is used to measure the density. Sorry, hydrometer. Common device used to measure the density of the various liquids. Okay, liquids you can measure. Okay, but in case of solids, we have to measure the density by measuring their mass separately, volume separately. There is a separate method to measure the mass. We already seen. There is separate method to measure the volume also. So volume can be measured by various methods. Okay, so by measuring that, for example, if you want to measure the volume of any irregular surface, say this is the one stone, irregular stone. Regular means you can have formulas are there. Regular volume can be measured by length into breadth into height. In mathematically, you can measure by using your mensuration chapter. There are so many formulas are there. But irregular bodies are given. So suppose this is an irregular body. Mass you can measure directly by placing it into common balance. We'll get the mass. Suppose say mass is 900 grams. Volume how measure? Irregular. What we have to do is take one beaker, fill it with water up to certain level. right? So say this is 500 ml water is there. So drop this body into this. We are dropping the irregular shaped body into the beaker containing water. So what happened? To give the space for this, some water will overflow. We collect that water. Water will come out, correct or not? Generally happens even when you are going for bath also. When you keep the mug into that, some water will come out. Why? Because to arrange the space for that. So water will come out. Suppose 200 ml came out. So what is the 200 ml? That is volume of the stone. How much water came out? That is how much water is displaced. The displaced water volume is equal to the volume of the irregular shaped body. Already you know the mass. Suppose say 200 ml. 900 by 200 ml. So cancel it 0 zeros. 9 by 2, 4.5 gram per ml. Gram per milliliter. We'll convert that into kg per liter. Like that, you can measure the mass density of any object by measuring its mass as well as followed by the volume. Both you can measure. If it is a regular shaped body, no problem. You can get it directly by mathematical formula. Volume you can get. Mass anyway you can calculate from measure from our balances. But in case of irregular shaped bodies, what we have to do? We have to go for the method, the water method, that is water displaced method. There are, you come across in the fluid pressure chapter. There are so many laws like measuring this Pascal's law is there, Bernoulli's principle is there, where it explains about the how to measure the densities, right? Okay, so by that, what we are clear here, we are clear that density of object mainly depends on two factors. One is mass of each particle and space between the particle. If mass of each particle is large, automatically the density is large. Space between each particle is large, density is less. So from this statement, we can define the density of substance as, you can see here clearly, mass of the substance by volume of the substance, that is mass by volume. So mass we know kg and volume is meter cube. We can measure kg per meter cube or kg meter minus 3, because meter cubes comes to numerator, becomes minus 3, or in case of CGS system, gram per centimeter cube. So you can convert them. Suppose 1 kg per meter cube is there. So you know kg is nothing but 1000 grams. We wrote kg as 1000 grams. And meter cube is there. So what is 1 meter? 1 meter is 100 centimeter. So there are meter cube is there, 100 into 100 into 100. So what do you get? So 1000 gram is 1 kg and 1000 centimeter cube. So 1 gram per 1000 centimeter cube. So like that you can convert the one system into another system also. Okay. Like that you can convert into either kg into gram or gram into kg. Suppose example is given, see. The density of the brass. Take a brass, one kind of material, right? So when you take the brass here, you can come here. So the density, mass of the density of the brass is 8400 kg per meter cube. What is the meaning here? Means its mass is 8400 and 1000 is the CGS system, that is volume. So you get 8.4 gram per centimeter. You will convert that kg per meter cube into gram per centimeter cube. Right. So density depends upon the nature of materials. It is not same for all. Suppose you take cotton, you take iron, you take brass, you take a brick. Different substances will have different densities. If the material is same, density is same. Right? Density is same irrespective of any other property. With the same material, density is same. Suppose if you take a steel, density of steel is same for glass or bowl or plate. It won't change. But when material changes, automatically density also will change. Right? So clear? So density is nothing but the mass by unit volume. Means mass is nothing but the quantity of matter. How many particles are present? With the mass of the particle changes, automatically density of substance also changes. right? So this density can be calculated separately by calculating the mass separately and volume separately. Mass can be calculated by various devices which already we discussed as per our requirement, and volume can be calculated by mathematical formulas. If it is a volume is a regular volume in case of solids, right? If it is a irregular shape of solids, you can calculate by the water display method. Same time, in same time, you can measure the density of liquids and gas also. You can see here on the table, there are various here given substances, solids, liquids, and gases, right? You can see here, ice. There are two different systems are given, CGS system, MK system, that is in grams as well as in kgs. Observe carefully how much heavy density is there for the solids. If you take gold, 19,300 kg per meter cube, means 1 meter cube of gold will have the mass of 19,300 kgs compared to copper 8,900 kgs. Can compare to iron 7,860 kg, steel 7,800, aluminium, sand, ice. See, different solids, in solids only, different solids will have different densities. Clear? Different solids will have different densities, which can be measured by, depends on whether they are having the regular shaped solids or irregular shaped solids. If they are regular shaped solids, first we'll find out the mass by using the common balance. Suppose, for example, if we take for the gold, we'll measure the mass and we'll measure the volume. Volume can be measured by the either mathematically formula, if it is regular shape, irregular means I told that method. Finally, by dividing them, you can get the value as 19.3 gram per cc, 8.9, 7.8, 6, 7.8, whatever it may be. In different systems, you can measure. Right? So, density is the derived quantity which is measured separately by measuring mass of the body and volume of the body. Clear? Now, when you come for liquids, liquids also can measure the density. Liquid mass can be measured. Liquid by using the hygrometer. I told you, hygrometer also helps us to measure the mass of liquids accurately. See, you can see water. The water is taken as generally standard, 1000 kg. Alcohol, paraffin oil, glycerine. So many, every liquid have different densities, different mass and different volume. Volume of fluids are different. Right or not? Same quantity, if you drop on surface, liquid will flow faster when compared to alcohol or any other oil. Based on that, we can calculate the densities as 1,800, 820, 1,260. Okay. Similarly, gas also. So gases, density can measure standard temperature and pressure. Right? STP you can call it as. Standard temperature is 0 degrees Celsius. Pressure is 1 atmosphere. That is 76 centimeters or 760 mm. Very important this point. STP, standard temperature and pressure. It's called STP. So 0 degrees Celsius and 1 atm. ATM is not ATM to collect the money. This is atmospheric pressure, which is 760 centimeter or 760 millimeter. Barometer, with the help of barometer, we can measure the atmospheric pressure. So by that you can see air, hydrogen, oxygen. Air is the mixture of gases, which having the 1.3 kg per meter cube, which is very much less when compared to the solids and liquids. Only 1.3 kgs. See, hydrogen gas 0.09, oxygen 1.43. Individually, oxygen gas is more than the density more than that of air. So like that, you can measure the density of all three states of matter by measuring the mass separately, volume separately by various methods or formulas. or by using the devices. Clear? This is a very important derived quantity. When you go to the next classes, when you go to 8th, 9th, and 10th classes, you learn about the more and more measurements. Apart from density, you can have the how to measure the area, how to measure the velocity, how to measure the acceleration, how to measure the power, how to measure the current. Everything you learn. For them also, we have so many mathematical or physical formulas are there given by the scientist, or there are some devices are there. Suppose you want to measure the current at home, you can measure the current. Current can be measured. Otherwise, we cannot get the bill. Current can be measured by using the ammeter. Right. Similarly, you can measure what is the how much amount of charge is flowing by using the voltmeter. So you can measure the power also by wattmeter. So many are there. Kilowatt meter, watt meter, what we can see on the meter in our home to measure the reading of current, how much you are consumed. Correct. So everything can be measured. But when you go to the next classes, you learn more about the. But right now, what you learned only about 3 fundamental quantities and then 1 derived quantity. Right. Length, mass, time. 3 are completed. How they are measured by various devices. Then we enter into the density. In density, there are 2 important factors are there. One is mass of each particle of the body, and second one is space between the particles. Mass of each particle will give the total mass, and space between the particle will give the volume. Whether it is a solid, liquid, or gas, no matter, we can measure density of the substance by various methods. So you can see there on screen clearly how to can find the density of solids, liquids, and gases here. Right. So you can see, you can note down these points here. Very important part. Please, I'll keep for some time. About the density you can write. So you can write this part. These 2 points are very important up to here. Right. This you can note down. All the points. Point number 1. Right. Point number 1. The point number 2. Point number 3. And point number 4. And point number 5. The density of substance is affected by the following factors. Number 1, the space between the particles. Number 2, mass of each particle. And then write the definition. Density is given by mass of the substance by volume of the substance, m by v. D is equal to m by v. It is measured in kg per meter cube or gram per centimeter cube. Okay. So take your time to note that one. Please note down as important points. Or note down as synopsis. Synopsis is nothing, is no new word, only points. Running notes you write, like that you have to write the important points which you can see on the screen. So today new topic is this what we discussed about density. So write down the points. So density depends on space between the particles and mass of each particle. So density is given by mass by volume. Density is measured in kg per meter cube and gram per centimeter cube. Please. So tomorrow class, I will show you some video also how to measure the density. There are different videos are available, and followed by the worksheets. We'll start doing the worksheet. Before that, you just get ready with that your key and all, prepare and come so that you can you can interact with the answers. Okay. There are so many worksheets are there with the different levels which are appear in examination. So one more class will get this week before appearing for exam. That is tomorrow. So that tomorrow you can solve some questions based on the measurements in the form of worksheets, right? And remaining part, you have to take responsibility to do at home as a homework or daily practice problem, what I told, DPP. And you end of this chapter. Okay, noted the points. Very important points you can see on the screen. Hope you can see clearly. Just don't write completely, just write like a point. Simple, because already there in your material, but you write, you can remember easily. Right. So we move forward here. Some of them you can note, they may ask about gold, iron, steel. So this also you can note some of them, not all. Few of them you can note in your notebook for your memory. You can note down the highest one and least one. See, in solids, highest one is gold. In solids, least one is ice. Correct. Suppose when you come to liquids, the least one is alcohol. Highest one is glycerine. In gases, you can come. Highest one is oxygen and least one is hydrogen. You can note such things which generally appear in the multiple choice questions. Right. So note down few of them, which are of course available in your materials. So these are the few devices, graphics, they can call it as GIFs, we can call it as how to measure the mass, how to measure the density, okay, how to measure the weight. See how beautifully they are moving it. Okay. Then for today's homework, it is that is called daily practice problem. I told we started from the last class. Write the methods of finding the density. So what we'll do for finding density, we'll find the mass, we'll find the space between the object, and finally we'll the density as mass by volume. That you have to write. What you are noting the points that you have to write here as a homework, as a daily practice problem. Say it as only DPP. Whether you have done DPP or not. Maintain the notes for DPP, which is same notebook where you are writing the points. And write the answer, show to your teacher, take the signature, and of course show to your parents also, and take the signature from your parent. Every day. It is a regular practice work. Right. Noted? So, same thing you can see even in textbooks also, what you can find in your textbooks. I'll show you a textbook also here. See, this is a key I send you already. Please, I request the teachers to share or download the key with you. See here. For example, measurement chapter, we have so many questions are there, around 58 questions are there. So we given the first is called key. This is called key. Means giving simple answers. A, B, C, D are 1, 2, 3, 4. But there are some questions require the explanation. For example, 17th question. Mass is equal to density into volume. You have to calculate what is the mass. Density is given, volume is given. So we have to use this formula. Density is equal to mass by volume. Mass is equal to density into volume. Right. Then we got 10 quintals. Like that, we can convert the centimeter into kilometer. So we are not simply giving the key for you. We are giving solution also wherever is required. 17, 26, 28, 29, 30, 31. These questions require see all the questions among the 58 questions what we have. We provided the even solutions also for your clarity. But first you should be very strong in the concept. You learn the important points what we are noted in the. If you get the doubts, you can go through the recorded videos we are sending to the groups. They'll come to your class groups. If you have any doubts in that also, you can open that link and you can see the today's class videos by end of the day after going home into your cell phones, so that you can clear the doubts. The remaining part you can go through the material and solve all the 58 questions. We cannot solve all 58 in one class, right? So what you can do is I will solve some questions tomorrow. Remaining you have to practice. Clear, everyone? Okay. This is the key part. Right. So thank you very much, students. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you all the participants.